This is Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the September 29th meeting of the Michigan City Board of Aviation Commissioners. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Okay, I'd like to call the Board of Aviation Commissioners September 29th meeting to order. Members present, myself, Kirk Hunter, T.Y. Elkerson, Jeff Bartlett. Greg Poulin is absent. We do have a quorum. Also, we have Jessica Ward and Paul Schaefer from BFNS in the house. Nobody else is expected. Gene Simmons not coming? All right. Everybody get a chance to read the July 14th minutes?
Yes.
Any questions about that? Any changes?
No.
Can I get a motion to approve those?
I make a motion that we approve the July 14th, 2022 meeting minutes.
I second that motion.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, financials.
Sure. Account balances. If you guys all want to turn to that page. All of our account balances are within our projected monthly balances, with building repairs still being the exception. We are still going to need to transfer money into that account before the end of the year, but we will be able to do a minor transfer from that same set of accounts. The City Council approved an additional appropriation into our fuel fund in the amount of $250,000 for the purchase of additional aviation fuel at their August 16th, 2022 meeting, which allowed me to order the last load of Jet A that I did and avgas that I just ordered now. And if you look at our aviation fuel, we're at 52.15% used, and that's with the additional appropriation as well. So we are flying out of fuel.
Good.
Yep, so there's that. Let's see, fuel sales. Overall, we sold 2,308.9 gallons of 100 low lead, 8,854 gallons of Jet A, and 460.4 gallons of Swift fuel in August. Total gallons of fuel sold are up 5% year to date, which is miraculous considering we don't have self-service avgas since June 16th. We also are currently out of Swift UL 94, and we're waiting on a load of that. The cost of Swift fuel has increased to nearly $7 per gallon. So Swift is actually looking for a split for us to lower the freight cost on delivery, because $7 a gallon is not gonna fly, especially since I'm lowering the price of avgas to $5.13 for self-service and $5.28 for full service next week. So I can't do $7 a gallon for Swift.
How much is the delivery charge?
I'd have to look.
Okay.
But they used to bring them in a smaller truck that only carried like 2,000 gallons. So it was perfect because they would drive it up, it was like nothing. But now they actually bring out like tankers that they would use for avgas, Jet A, they bring out the huge ones. So when you just have 1,000 gallons in it, that's a big charge. So that's what's taking it to nearly $7 a gallon. So if we can get a split or two, to where they're carrying more up here for different airports, then that'll work. So they're working on a split. They've been working on a split for like 2 or 3 weeks now.
Okay,
So hopefully we can get one.
Okay. At what point would you consider it to be an adequate price?
Anywhere near our self-service.
Okay.
So if I can't, if Swift fuel isn't at least within, I like to do it within cents, within 10 cents of our self-service avgas, then people will still use that even if it's a little bit more. Maybe up to 50 cents more a gallon. But if it's like $1 more a gallon than avgas, then people are going to use avgas instead. They're not going to get Swift fuel. And we have to turn that tape too.
Almost $2.
Correct, it will be. If it's near $7 a gallon is what, and that's what they're charging us. So I have to at least add our tax. That's, the fuel excise tax is 20 cents. I have to add that on top of their price to us. Plus, I try and at least make a penny a gallon, right? I'm not going to lose money on it, so.
Then we need to talk about whether or not we need to sustain Swift fuel in this import. Realistically, if the prices are continuously going up, there's no rationale to keep the fuel because it defeats the whole purpose. That was one of the reasons why I pushed for it to be here in the first place, because it was cheaper than everything else. Now that it's going up and it's going to supersede the others, we need to really think about whether or not
Right.
it needs to go.
Yeah.
Well, we'll know by the next meeting, right?
Yeah, the thing is we have the 1,000-gallon tank already. We can fill with fuel and sell anything is better than nothing because, and there's nothing else I would put, I'm not doing MoGas in that tank or anything like that.
Okay.
So it's like, if we have Swift, then that's great. But you're right, I mean, it doesn't seem, but the thing too is now that we have a flight school and they want to use Swift, that's it, that's all they want to use.
Is that right?
And that's right, so, I mean, so they want us to carry Swift fuel, and having them here is great because they're a flight school, and because they have the RV, and that's great in that plane, and.
No, it's the Rotax engine.
Correct.
All our engines use Swift and MoGas, yeah.
And so that's the preferred fuel for them, and so as long as I can get it, you know what I mean? If I can get it anywhere near that price, then that's great. So I guess it would have to be up to a certain point of what is too much for them to pay,
Right.
and not use the Swift fuel, because then I'm not gonna sell it at all. But, so I mean, that's kind of where we're at. But the other option, there is another option, and they actually have totes, okay? So Swift Fuel will come out and bring out totes. I think they're 250 gallons a tote or something like that. So they're these kind of like these big
Jugs.
jugs.
We used to have them.
And we did have them, but we
But it was
cannot right now. 325 gallons, maybe it's 325. So we don't have the equipment to properly lift them, move them over to the tank, siphon them from that, tote into the actual tank. We don't have the proper equipment to do that. If we were to buy the proper equipment for that, we would be able to have those on standby for in cases when we can't get a truck for 3-4 weeks, that at least we have the totes of Swift fuel, to use, like while we're waiting for, another load of fuel or something like that. But then we would need to actually get forks for our tractor, because you have to be able to have the forks to lift the totes, because right now we would just like strap them to the front of the truck, like, no.
Is there anything that we can, okay.
Oh, so why the tote? Is that cheaper?
Well, now I just got an email, but I haven't talked to them specifically about if the totes, I don't think the totes are necessarily cheaper, because now they have a special freight charge on totes, because now they have, when they bring the totes out, they have to have special equipment to take it off the truck and, unload it here. And so it came out to another delivery charge for that.
Does Michigan City, do the departments, do they borrow equipment or interchange stuff from time to time? Like, if we have these totes, is there something in the street department that we're like, hey, can we have one of your stuff,
I don't know.
vehicles that you're not using for a while? Can we keep it over
I don't
here?
know if any other vehicles have forks. I'd have to
Okay.
ask.
Right.
I don't know any department that would need a fork truck. I'm not sure though.
So we own the current.
Yeah, so
We
at
bought
first
it.
we leased it,
Yeah,
and
we bought
the
it.
lease, yep, we bought it out, so
Okay.
it's ours.
Now, is it possible to put more gas in that tank?
No, it was 1,000 gallons. The tank is 1,000
It's
gallons.
1,000, but I'm saying, is it possible to, if we can't afford Swift, can we buy more gas, just clean 91 octane and dump it in there? Because
Yeah, I mean, we could put any other gas in there.
the flight school will use 91.
Yeah, so I mean, I would have to talk and see, like, if there's any interest. All I know is LaPorte's been playing that. They get MoGas, then they switch to Swift, and then they went back to MoGas. And there's issues with getting MoGas as well. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not sure. And the shelf life on MoGas is I think it's a year for, like, Swift fuel, because that's the same. Or maybe it's only 6 months for Avgas. And Swift fuel, it's only like 1 or 2 months for MoGas. Like, so I mean, that's a whole nother, thing that we'd have to look at. We'd have to make sure that we can sell it within the shelf life of the MoGas.
The Swift doesn't have lead in it, so they're trying to develop it as a lead alternative.
Well, yeah, because if it is a 300 gallon tank, that's gonna weigh someplace around over 2,000 pounds. But one of those floor jacks, will they take 2,000
Oh, like a
pounds?
skid,
Yeah,
you see at the Lowe's and stuff like that?
Yeah,
They're pretty, I mean, you can take a lot of stuff, but now you lift it up, that's great. Now you gotta push it.
Yeah.
Or pull it. You know, you'd have to have it automated where they're like charged up electrically, where now you've got.
Yeah, I mean, we move a lot of that stuff, and I think they're right at 2,000 pounds, and you can move them.
Okay.
You can move them by yourself on nice flat ground. Especially two people. Yeah, so, I mean, that's a possibility, something where you can find those used all over the place.
Otherwise, we need a
Listen,
forklift, right?
Huh?
Otherwise, you need a forklift or
Yeah, we would
something.
need, yeah, forks for the tractor, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
we
yeah,
go on the
absolutely.
tote, move it over, set it down, and,
But if we had forks, we could do that on the tractor.
so
right?
I just called and asked for an estimate for what forks would cost for the tractor. So, I'm still waiting on that. And, I mean, I'll just see what they are, you know, how much it's gonna cost for forks for that.
Can we ask the street department too? Are we sure they would?
Yeah, if they have a fork truck or something, yeah.
Or
well,
forks
that's-
that are
Well, yeah,
modifiable?
you know.
We'll just grab those forks from the city for right now. If they're not using them, like, we'll just keep them here and then grab a couple of toters of fuel.
So yeah, I think they bring out 3 totes or, I don't know, it's something like that.
Okay.
But also, yeah, because the only other issue with the totes that we had, and a lot of people have, like in the summer and stuff, when you open up the top of the tote, it's pressurized. So when you open up the top, you lose 20 gallons of fuel because it just
really? Wow.
all comes out because of course it's like all pressurized. They are a nightmare. But
There's no
we've done them
leak valve or
already,
anything?
twice. We did that. Trucks weren't available. The only thing that was available were the totes, so we did them twice, and we said we were never doing them again. But, I mean, if we can figure out a way to do them better or easier, or I don't know, maybe we would.
Maybe somebody on YouTube is a 15-minute thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out.
Well, that's
But yes, we could get a different fuel instead of Swift now. We own that tank.
okay.
Fuel prices, I think that's where we are.
Yeah, I just want to, do you want me to go? Currently, self-service, $6.26 a gallon. Full service, $6.41 a gallon. Jet A is $4.78. And then for both service, self-service and full service. And then UL 94 is $6.30 a gallon.
This is wonderful.
Okay. Thank you, Jessica. Okay. Middle school drone camp.
Yay! This week is the drone camp. We had 25 students signed up. Barker Middle School also bused students from their school here yesterday or Tuesday in order to attend the camp as a STEM opportunity through their school, so that was really great having them out here as well. The camp was advertised on Facebook and the News Dispatch at the local schools, and then WSBT sent out a camera crew here a couple weeks ago and did an interview with Carlton Bishop and Johnny Stimley and I about the camp, so that aired on their news station last week, which was funny.
That's great.
I didn't realize how fast I talked until I watched myself on camera. Boy, do you realize
Gotta get
how
all that
fast I
information
talk.
out in a short amount of time.
Yes.
Slow down.
That's what I learned. I really need to do that. But the camp's been growing great. The students get 2 hours of flight time on the stimulator, and then they're going to move on Saturday out to Edgewood Park by Edgewood School there. They're going to have a cookout and fly the actual drones. But we have 6 computers all set up with the flight simulator software, and so that's really fun. They do different challenges of landing, going through hoops and all that kind of stuff with the drones, and they love it. It's really fun for me. Oh yeah, I've been messing with it, but it's really fun for me to see. And then he opens it up at the very end of their time, just so they can try some of the planes, because there are such cool planes on there too. Kirk had his hand at it too. But there's so much fun. So they love that too, because it's something even different. And we're trying to also, the drone thing's great. We love having them out here for that. But we're also having another program coming here where they're going to build a kit plane. And so it's got a 5-foot wingspan. So we want them to also try out the airplane and
Right.
see that that's cool. Why don't you guys come over and do
Start
the
progressing
kit plane?
bigger,
Yes.
bigger.
And then we're going to build an actual plane with TY. And so then, it'll be really fun to go ahead and go through all that. So baby steps. We're moving on into other things. So.
Thanks for doing that. That's fantastic to see everybody involved.
Oh, it's so fun. And the kids just it's so funny because we've had like different groups of kids. You have like the homeschool kids, you know, that kind of sign up, and then like, you know, the school kids that go to like public schools and stuff. It's really funny watching them all interact. Like some are like really loud and like, oh, I bet you I can do this better than you, and oh, and you know, and the other kids are just doing their own thing, and everybody's like, wow, what are you doing? Like it's so cool to see all these kids that do not know each other come together and then just enjoy something together. So that's really fun.
That's nice.
Yeah, we love it. So yeah, this week. So come on out today from 4 to 6. Tomorrow 4 to 6. Right here at the airport, and then Saturday, if anybody wants to go to Edgewood School, yeah, right here in the terminal. If anyone wants to go to Edgewood School on Saturday, it's like from 10 or 10:30 to 3. They're going to be out there with a couple different people are also bringing their drones out too, and so they're going to be out there and fly the drones. So it'll be cool. So check it out if you guys have time.
Fuel farm.
Avgas Fuel Farm repair update. So we're currently in the process of getting an estimate on the repair work for the priming issue with the self-service Avgas fuel pump. Hoosier Equipment Company and Northern Indiana Mechanical have discussed a solution together. So Northern Indiana Mechanical is giving us an estimate to tear out the concrete on top of the tank around the sub-access hole. Then they're going to remove a larger tank access lid to pull the floating suction arm out, repair the floating suction arm, or change the seal. So when they do that, they're going to actually need to drain the water around the tank for the project using our, we have a water table monitoring well that was installed for the last big project that we did a couple years back. So the Michigan City Sanitary District, pending good water sampling testing results, is going to allow us to discharge that water into the actual sanitary sewer located on site, and they're going to do like a temporary discharge authorization for that.
Nice.
And then they're planning on also checking the pump at the same time to make sure that it isn't a pump issue, and because they're going to purchase a new one and put it in there. But the problem is they can't do that beforehand because they can't get any fuel through the pump to test it. You have to be able to put fuel through the pump to test it. So they're going to also do that. So if it's either the suction arm or if it is the pump, they're going to be able to fix that during that same process.
Okay. Nice.
Waiting on that estimate. I don't even know what that's gonna be like. So as soon as I got the estimate, I'll circulate it, so you guys can see kind of what it is and,
Marty's here.
okay. So, there you have it.
Thank you.
Courtesy.
Oh, yeah, I had a question about,
Sure.
do we have the well points to
Yes.
drain?
Yep. Yeah, that's we have an actual monitoring well out there that was put in specifically to drain the water table. Remember when we did the piping sub project to drain all the water for that? So that's still there and they're gonna use that. But first they have to sample the water to make sure that it meets, all our testing requirements in order to dump it down the sewer.
Okay, what happened to our vehicle?
A pilot was in a car accident this past Friday
At least you wasn't flying.
The city?
in the city in our courtesy van. So, the van was towed back here to the airport from New Buffalo. We're waiting on repair estimates from Eleanor and Dan's Body Shop. The repair is going to go through central maintenance for the city. Our city insurance covers it. I called Charlie Keene to make sure that I didn't need anything from the pilot. And we don't, because it all goes through our insurance, and so the city's, everything's gonna go through central maintenance for repairs and everything. So I was kind of talking to Yvonne about that, about if there's ways that we could, I don't know, make sure that, you know, it's not like on us every time, and she said there just isn't. So I'm gonna talk to Charlie and see if the airport can do anything different to make sure if this happens again, you know, they can at least sign a waiver for a deductible. I don't even know, but I'm not sure. I'm still gonna kind of look into that to make sure that the airport's doing everything they can. But the thing is it's a courtesy vehicle. The whole point, they're not signing, it's not a rental vehicle.
Yeah.
They're not signing any leases or rental, you know what I mean? They come in, they
Do they
fly
need
their
a driver's
plane
license,
in.
or, I mean, not needed, but do they
Yeah, so I
give
mean,
information?
we don't ask that they leave driver's license information or anything.
As long as the airplane is here.
Yeah, their airplane is here.
Okay,
And
take it
then
off real
they
quick. Like,
take- Yeah, so, But these are upstanding citizens that fly into the airport and use the car. You know what I mean? So
You're just a steal.
yeah, so I mean,
A K car.
they have to sign in with their like name and their phone number and, you know, what airport they're from and their tail number. So they sign in with that information before they use the
Okay.
car, so.
But does GSI, do they,
GIS. GIS, General
GIS, I'm sorry. Do city rates go up because of that accident, and which would be typical if it was a...
I'm not sure. I don't really
That's
know, so.
why, when we were talking last week about this issue, that, you know, we should have possibly go after the guy's insurance,
Yeah.
because
But that's something, yeah, because Yvonne said that she's the controller of the city. She said that we have, that's what their job is. Like GIS, like they take care of all that for us. We don't have to worry about any of that. GIS takes care of that. That's why we have our legal team that takes care of that. And
So if that
she just
guy-
wants to make sure we're not worrying about it over here.
well, but yeah, of course, you know, what came up in our discussion last week was the fact that what if somebody was seriously injured,
Yeah.
killed by a vehicle? That, we all of a sudden just go, okay,
Well, maybe
GIS
Bill
is banned.
can look into it, that
Yeah.
there is some waiver, like, you have no problem driving a car. However, if you do something,
Yeah.
and if, you know, you're not gonna be blaming, our vehicle's not gonna be like able to sue, you know, somebody else. Maybe
So I'm gonna
it's-
talk to GIS, Charlie, Keen over there, and I'm also gonna talk to Bill and see if there's anything that the airport can do
Or should do, yeah.
lessen our liability of any kind.
I
Yep.
think a disclaimer kind of
Right.
form
Yeah.
that the person fills out and signs and then takes the key and then you have that on record.
Yep.
If anything were to happen,
So we're gonna talk about that and see what we can do
Right,
to make
that's
sure that
nice
the
thing.
airport.
I have no problem using the vehicle, but if you do something or somebody gets hit, now it's not like, well, the airport's fault, you know?
Yeah,
That's my concern.
Yeah, that's good.
We're just footing the bill for somebody else's negligence, and I don't think we should.
And we're just a small little operation anyways, we're not, you know.
Yeah. But, okay.
all right.
Enough of that.
And I just have one other thing I wanted to talk about. Additional appropriation request for the above ground fuel tanks. I had an update on that recently.
Okay.
So the board approved a motion, you remember to use years 2 through 5 bill money for the above ground tanks. You guys, made a motion to approve that at the July board meeting.
23,
So
24, 25.
this additional appropriation is gonna be on the council's October 18th agenda for first reading. So we are programmed to get 176,667 a year. We have a 5% local match, which brings it down to 167,833 a year for federal and state. So totals for year 2 through 5 is 671,332. That's going to be used to reimburse the city for the additional appropriation request of $800,000. That's what we would be asking for. The city would only be paying $128,668. Of a $800,000 project. That's a pretty good deal, if approved. So I'm gonna ask Gene Simmons, if he'll sponsor as the council liaison and, get the ball rolling on that. Yay!
Yeah.
So,
Too bad we can't get that done before we had to fix this one.
right?
Okay. All right. Airport development.
When you talk, I'm gonna go sign checks.
Yep.
The first item is action item for partial pay request number 2 on AIP 25. AIP 25 is on the runway project, and this pay application is $71,762.25. And that's to reimburse you a whole bunch of bills over the years that you'd accumulated that did not have on your grant to pay back. And so this came as part of a multi-year grant. So this grant was actually approved last year. You signed for it last year, but they just issued a multi-year extension this year to claim the rest of the money because they ran out of the money last year.
so you want a motion for that? And make a motion to approve FAA pay request number 2 for AIP-25. The amount of $71,762.25.
Do I have a second?
I second that.
All in favor? Aye.
The second.
Just a second.
Oh, yeah, I could.
Motion carries, I'm sorry.
Okay, the next item is, consideration of the snow removal, equipment building award. And, basically the background on this, is we put this out for bid, when we knew that we had the riverboat funds and the 2023 bipartisan infrastructure bill. So once we had that money in place, we didn't want to advertise it before then. So we really didn't know until August that we had the money, actually the end of July. So we put it out for bid in August. We received bids in August. Plan holders for the project, we had 12 sets of plans out. Of those 12 sets, there are really only 5 prime contractors in consideration who could actually do the whole work. So that was Jay Schaffner. Let me zoom in here. I can't see my font's too small here. Sogner Services, Yoder Construction, RL Roofing, and New Tech Corporation. Those were the prime bidders, and then we had 7 other plan holders that were either, like Reith Riley's, the paving subcontractor, electrical subcontractors, and so forth. So there were basically 5 prime contractors looking at it. At the end of the day, we only ended up with 1 bid received on the 28th. And in your packet, right behind the letter, is a summary of that bid. So the engineer's estimate on this was $508,000 and change. The bid came in at $747,000. That obviously was quite shocking to me. I think that's very high. And 47% over my estimate, which was, at first I thought there's just no way we can proceed forward. We're gonna have to repackage this and rebid it. Talking to some of the contractors who were plan holders that did not bid it. So the low bid was from New Tech Corporation. And they were one of the plan holders. So I reached out to the other 4. One had some personnel issues where they were not able to get their bid in on time. But one of the others actually got a time confusion. But indicated that it probably wouldn't have made a difference after they heard the numbers. And then that left 2 others. I called them, and basically they were having problems with suppliers and subcontractors submitting numbers and getting them in to provide a reliable price. So they were not able to put together a complete bid at the end of the day. This is unfortunately not uncommon for what we're seeing in the market right now. We've seen it in other communities such as Muncie and Connersville. Where Connersville advertised the hangar, got 0 bids. Muncie advertised, got 1 bid. Fulton County also advertised the hangar, got 1 bid. So unfortunately with the market that we have right now, there's just a lot of work out there, and the backlog of that work is pretty high, coupled with uncertainty in materials and supply chain, particularly anything that has electrical with conduits and things like that. The lead time on those is 6 to 12 months, and the pricing is never locked in, and so they're kind of taking a risk of it. So anyway, those are the stories that I heard. Looking at the outlook for the next 12 to 24 months, I don't think anybody knows. And I always like to say I was absent the day they issued our crystal balls in engineering school, so I don't know. But, I don't see anything, my best guess is I don't see anything changing in the next 12 to 24 months in the market that's gonna reduce pressure from contractors on this. And the reason I say that is we still have a ton of basically COVID stimulus money that is yet to be spent. We also have a record surplus in the state of Indiana on tax revenues that is going into programs that are funding infrastructure. And so my point is there's not going to be a shortage of projects for these contractors. The other thing that's driving up prices is shortage of labor. We're at all-time high unemployment, or a record low unemployment number.
Yeah.
So these people are having problems finding jobs. It's even impacting projects at Indianapolis International where they're supposed to be working all night and weekends, but they can't find enough people to keep the machines running. And so it's slowing the project down. And so it's really impacting. I don't know that that's going to change in the next 12 to 24 months. So when I look at that, we have a bid in hand, but if we re-advertise it, I have little faith that we'll see a different outcome. And that's my concern. That certainly is an option to you at this time.
That's why you submitted a strict stuff, right?
Yeah, so the state statute does allow us, if you receive a bid, if you only receive one bidder and it is in excess, you can enter value engineering. You can negotiate with the bidder you got. And that's called value engineering. And so exactly what we did, we walked through and said, UTEC, what is it that we can do to try to get as close to the original scope of the project, but reduce the cost down closer to the engineer's estimate to be closer to budget. And so they did that. And I think we got a very reasonable package from them without losing a lot of functionality. So I think the building with a reduced scope can serve the need. But these are the reduced scope items. So they submitted a number, and they've got an all-in number here with all options that is basically the closest to the scope. So I'm going to start there. So $553,700. So this puts us within roughly 10% of my engineer's estimate at a slightly reduced scope. So at $553,700, that's every option that they offered, and I'll explain what that subtracts out. So what that subtracts out from the original, we were going to run the wildlife fencing around the entire maintenance facility to put it inside the aircraft operations area of the airport. So if we don't run the fence all the way around, the idea would be there's a access driveway out to the apron. We would just cut the fence and put a dual swing gate in there. So they'd have to open the gate and close the gate every time they went in and out. Doesn't mean you can't run the fence around it in a later time. It also, the next major thing is there was a garage door, an overhead door on the rear of the building with a driveway that went around the side. And the idea was if you had, the three overhead doors on the front remain the same, 14 by 14, so all the equipment will still fit in the front. But that back door, the concept there was if you had three large pieces of equipment parked in front of the front doors, you could get mowers and smaller things out the back and take them around without rolling something out the front. So that back door obviously could be added at a later time, and that side drive could be added at a later time.
Is it gonna be framed in or anything or no?
The door?
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought that it was gonna be framed in.
yeah, I thought it would still be.
Well, the bay will be, the bays would be easy enough to frame it into that spot.
Got
But, yeah.
Okay.
It won't be difficult at all to put it in there. But then you have to put the stone and so forth around. The next item is the floor drains, and the floor drains in this are quite expensive because they need the outlet to sanitary sewer. So basically, NewTek and I discussed the concept of sloping the the doors, sloping the floor to the doors, similar to what you have in your home garage. And the water would go to that garage door, knowing that garage doors don't seal exactly perfect on the outside edge, the water would find its way out. It definitely is not as nice as a floor drain, but it does reduce a significant amount of cost because that oil water separator is a ordinance that you have to comply with before it goes into the sanitary system. So, and then the next thing would be, in this scenario, we had a bathroom in the original. So in this scenario, it would stub in all of the plumbing for the bathroom, frame the walls with the 2x4s, and build a loft, but it would not put the fixtures into the bathroom. So you could add the toilet, the sink, countertop at a later date, which really aren't that expensive items,
I can do that.
I mean, the reality of it is maintenance staff probably could do that.
TY is doing that. Okay, got it.
So, at the end of the day, those are the major scope reduction items that really get you down to about the same functionality. And the building is slightly bigger. And the reason is we had based this concept of this design off of the previous quote package that we had gotten. And so we used that same building dimension. And it turns out that it wasn't a very standard building dimension. Now that I didn't realize that, but I understand it now. So the building is now, instead of 67 by 76, I believe was our original, it's now 60 by 90. So it's a slightly more square footage, but the building shape is a more standard shape for pole barn builders. It still has the individual man doors besides the overhead rolling door, so that shouldn't be an issue there. The heaters in their all-in value engineered package, it still has gas radiant tube heating, which is a nice, like you'd have in an aircraft hangar, the gas tubes that hang from the ceiling. And in the all-in option, they have real foundations instead of pole barn foundations. So it will have basically a spread footer at each post location and a frost wall around the perimeter that will be insulated. And they're also, in that insulation package, they're putting OSB board liner on the inside of the building to protect the insulation from getting nicked and things like that. They have an option to remove those things in a lower model, but in the 553 version, it does have the real foundations and the OSB board, which will be better for heating.
Well, as far as, so with the 530, is that what the 200,000 BTU versus the radiant 2 meters?
Yeah.
You say that was?
No, so the 553 has the radiant tube. We're not deducting down. So under their revised value engineering,
It was $7,000, so.
yeah, they had an option of a deduct of $3,500 to switch to 2 ceiling-mounted forced air units. They're gas, but they blow warm air inside the building. And what's that?
They're loud.
They're loud and they're not nearly as efficient because the way they work is it heats the air instead of heating the objects and things, so they're not nearly as.
And that's only $3,500, see, that's not per.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you want to further reduce this down and not go all in, they do have basically a base price of $450,900. But then you would further reduce the heaters down to forced air heaters. You would subtract out the frost wall foundation, the OSB wall liner.
from that, basically that more superior engineering, insulation package. It'd still have insulation, but it'd be the roll, insulation with the vinyl, batting on the back of it. You would subtract out the HMA pavement. The asphalt pavement off of the parking lot would be a gravel drive for the time being, and then the loft framing and the bathroom framing would get subtracted out if you want to go down with a very bare bones minimum package.
3 questions.
Okay, where is, oh, here we go, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's on page 4 of
Yeah,
there.
The foundation liner, ceiling,
Yeah.
must be wafted,
Yeah.
27,000. Okay.
Yeah.
So the first question is engineering based. So your company and you, Paul, do you feel comfortable with the 553,700 bid?
I do. That's my recommendation based off of, the market right now.
But I'm thinking structurally.
Oh, yeah, structurally, that's, I mean, it gets you essentially what you wanted in a shed. I mean, the building is the it gets you what you want. You can use it. You can use it. It has the same size doors, same square footage, and it'll be able to be used for what you want it to be used for.
The other question is to the primary users. You may not be here 20 years from now, but right now you're here, and Rudy's here, and hopefully we'll find somebody else that will be working with you guys. What do you feel and what do you think about that bid?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel that it's more important that we do the additions, you know what I mean? Not just the space of 450. But I think with taking out the back, as long as we can put an indoor later, loft it later, I think those are the kind of important things that we really wanted. The loft, because we don't have any storage in here. There is no storage in this building at all. So we need somewhere to store, just like old files, things like that. So that, would be used, the loft would be used for that. So that was a really important part of it. But just being able to do that later is...
So the 553 has the loft in it.
I thought it was just framed in, and it doesn't have the loft.
Yeah, it's loft and bathroom framing. So they'll
Does it mean that construction of the loft?
Yeah.
I thought framing just meant not constructing, right? Did you think that's? So it is.
I would think that's a lot of money for.
No. It'll have the loft decking and the steps going up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
yeah.
Good.
And I mean, just being able to put another door in the back, and I mean, we could always asphalt later around the side.
Jeff, do you have any questions?
No, I mean, you answered, that was my concern too. I just want to use this building, and then with your wish list, we can always
Yeah.
slowly add on little by little to it. But we can break down, I understand what's going on worldwide with all the supply and demand chains, markets.
Yeah, on page 3 or 4, the top of the page there, the option 1 under loft and bathroom wall framing.
Build a loft.
Build a loft across the side of the building. It'll be 10 foot by 12 foot by 60. So it'll be.
That's large enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there'll be a set of stairs going up there, and then the bathroom's 10 by 10, framing only, no fixtures.
Got it.
Or
Perfect.
drywall.
Motion?
Well, let me just, one more question, please. So, where do we want to, we got the base price, now we want to go with the radiant heater, so that's 3,500, we're gonna have to add that back, right?
Now, the 553,
Yeah.
we could have actually subtracted from the 4, it is a little confusing way to do it. So the 450,900, we could have subtracted another $3,500 from that. He has the radiant heaters in the base.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we're just not gonna subtract the 3,500 out.
Yeah, then it went down to like 447 something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So right now, we're going to, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead, sorry.
So we're gonna do the base price, 450,900, the foundation liner, the 27,000, right? And the loft and the bathroom framing, 18,400, correct? then the paving is possibly later on.
So we're not gonna.
No,
do
we
the
are
paving.
paving now. That's in
is
the
included.
5, if you look at that total number in the front, the 5, wherever it was, that's all in the,
Cover page?
yeah, cover page, the 553,700.
Okay.
That includes all that. So here's the deal. I'll talk about funding real quick. So the thing is we have $220,000 that the city has already given us for this building. We also have an extra, the $176,000 that we get from the bill funds for our first year are being used for this building. So this even this base price of the 450,900, I don't know, you might have talked about this before I got in here. I'm sorry if I'm going over it again.
No.
But this base price of the 450,900, which is not including the things that we really want in the building, we can cover that only if the city council will do a resolution that we can move $75,000 that we have for crack sealing and striping, if we move that money into being allowed to use for the building too. It just takes one meeting, it's in a resolution, and they're just saying, this line item is actually called crack sealing and striping. We want this line item to be called now SRE building. And so the council needs to approve all line item changes, like for debt funds. So we already have that funding available to us, it's just called something else. So we need to ask them to change the name to this. So on October 18th, it's already gonna be, the resolution is gonna be on that meeting. I'm gonna be there, of course, and to answer any of their questions, to get that funding changed over. So once they get that funding changed over on October 18th, I really believe that they're gonna do that. And if they do change the funding line item name and allow that to happen, then we will be able to afford this base price of $450,900.
Okay.
In order for us to be able to afford the $553,700, I'm gonna have to go to the council and ask for an additional appropriation, which can also be on the October 18th meeting if you guys approve this and you guys are behind it. But I will go to the council and ask for an additional appropriation for whatever that amount is. We need at least $113,000 something in order to make this $553,700. So with that additional appropriation, that's asking for the city council, hey, we need extra money to fund this building other than what we have. We already have this, enough to fund the base, but we really need these additional items. This is what completes the building. The frost wall is important to have. The loft's important to have. All the stuff that we need. The heaters are important. We really need this building in whole. In order for us to be able to do that, we need an additional $114,000. But that doesn't include any change orders or any changes. So we might pad that number a little bit just so I don't have to go back and ask if there's a change order or something. I'm not sure what we're doing on that. So, then I'm gonna ask them, and that takes 3 readings. Sometimes the council can do 2 readings in one, so we might know by, I think, like November 2nd or something was their next meeting, so that would be on October 18th meeting, and then the 2nd, and then the last time was I think the 16th, or November 16th, whatever that Tuesday is. Then we'll know for sure whether the council approves us to get an additional $114,000 or whatever that number is in order to finish this building totally and do the total package, which we really are hoping to do.
You're probably going to need 72,000 from the council to finish, to get to 5.
But that doesn't include design money and everything. That's
So the finances, if you look on the report page, the snow removal building, there's a bullet there, funding summary, that kind of summarizes what Jessica just said.
All right.
yeah. So we're gonna need to ask for at least an additional 113,000 something. So the controller already understands that, and also she told me every project is coming up over budget. This is not the only project that's been bid in the city this year that's gone over budget. Everyone is, because inflation and everything else, all the projects are coming. So the council understands that, this is happening. This isn't gonna be like the first time they've been asked this all season or all year. They know that this is happening. So, I really believe that they're gonna be understanding that this is the amount of money we need to finish this project. We've put a lot of money and work into this project already. We don't want to lose our bid hold. We don't, this is important to get this project completed. This was on 2020's budget, and then COVID hit, so they took away our capital funding. So this project has been needed for years, proven needed and budgeted for years, and now we're finally able to complete the project, and so I'm hoping that they're gonna appropriate that.
Well, say
I say we make a motion to award the SRE building contract to New Tech Construction.
One thing real quick. So because we don't have the money right now, we did reach out to Bill Nelson's office because actually we're not we're not allowed to make an award unless you actually have the money.
Correct.
That's good law. But because we don't have the money yet, basically Rachel Dottie, I believe is her name.
Yeah, Rachel Doty.
Rachel Doty, from Bill Nelson's office, sent us an email saying that you could make the motion contingent upon the council's approval of the funding on these readings.
So that's what I'm doing, so.
Yep.
Okay, so we make the motion to award the SRA building contract to New Tech Construction contingent upon the city council approving.
Okay. For the $553,900?
Additional funds for the $553,700 of, the bid.
That was plus, right, the additional appropriations?
Yes.
Yes.
Contingent on that.
Correct,
Yes. I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's almost everything on the report. I'm not straight from the, you have the CIP anywhere, and
I can go grab it.
no, I mean, on the agenda,
The CIP, no.
the CIP meeting. Okay.
No.
Well, then before we move on from me, real quick, just, there'll be a virtual CIP meeting that NDOT scheduled, October 13th at 11:30 a.m. and it's 45 minutes long. That's Eastern time, so I guess that'll be 10:30 Central time.
We
So,
can only have 2 board members present at that meeting virtually. So whichever 2 can come, whichever 2, I mean, you guys figure out your best 2, your favorite 2, the most awesome 2. I don't care how you want to do it.
He's jealous.
But just 2, we can only have 2 friends. So pick your best 2.
Well, Jeff was born to fly off someplace, and
We don't need to know right now. We just are only allowed to
I'll be out at 13th, but whatever you guys decide to do, I mean, I'm okay.
TY is always available, right, TY? He's got open availability being retired.
I could be there.
Look at you, no. You're like, I don't.
when we
I'm so
get so next week, I'll send out a suggested draft agenda, I know Kurt and TY have been in these before. Have you done one before?
I have not.
Okay. So basically, you usually, it's the same thing every time. And this piece of paper that I gave that compared what we submitted compared to what they basically planned will be the focal point of the discussion. But each time you open up and you thank them for the money that you've received already, that's the right thing to do. And then you talk about great things that are going on at the airport, like snow removal building, and hopefully emergency appropriation for fuel system, and the drone camp, and fuel sales are up. Those sorts of
talk
things.
it up.
Yep, you kind of sales pitch your airport, and then we go into the discussion of where we're at on the runway project, because that's our focal point. And we'll remind them that we have all of our environmental, all the planning, everything all in place. All we need is money. And then we'll get into the, oh, bummer, we're out of money. and then we'll talk about it, and they'll explain why they're out of money. And then we'll, tell them we really.
They'll say how excited they are about our project,
Right.
or else I'll cry. They're gonna say that.
Right, and
They are.
that's basically how it goes, but, the 13th, it's all virtual, so you don't even have to physically be in it yet, you can be where you want.
What about the DBE thing? Did you talk about that? Did I miss that?
Oh, yeah, did you
DBE,
guys,
we're done. It's been advertised. I got nothing on
Okay.
it. What's next steps?
so you just finalize it, make a motion to finalize the DBE goal as advertised.
Make a motion that we finalize the DD as advertised.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Old business, do you have any old business?
Well, something that I noticed looking around, that were the cracks sealed by somebody.
Yeah, so we actually had the street department come out and they did some training because this is the first year that they're able to crack seal themselves. So they had a bunch of new guys that are crack sealing, and so we asked them to come out and crack seal because we don't need to pay somebody else to do something that our city can do, because obviously that's city money. So they did. They came out. They did not do runway cracks. They didn't do parallel taxiway cracks. Nothing like that. They were practicing in the parking lot mostly, and
I
then
noticed they were not sealed. That's what I'm.
Yep, and then they moved kind of and, did some like around, our taxiways, like our hangar taxiways and stuff, so.
Okay, they just poured something.
Yes.
They're not sealed.
Correct, they still need
Okay.
work.
Okay, so.
Do you need to be certified for runways and taxiways for that type of sealing? Is there any special certification on it?
I mean, not technically. There's an FAA way to seal them.
Yeah.
A specification, and you ask people to do it that way.
Yeah, that's fine. I just didn't know.
The city, it's made,
that was
so the
just
city can do it.
Okay.
You just want to make sure, sometimes the way you seal a road is not the same way you seal a runway.
Right, because there's a little bit more liability and things that could go wrong.
Yeah, and on roads, they do
We
overbanding,
need them sealed.
where they pour it above the crack and it kind of rolls out on each side of the crack. But on a road plow, they run road plows a half inch above the pavement. The plow does not actually physically touch the pavement on a road plow.
Okay.
Except when you hit a bump or something like that. But on a runway, the cutting edge is on the surface of the pavement. So if you do that overbanding on the joint, it rips it out of there and then it creates fog on the runway.
That makes sense.
So you can't, when you seal the runway, I mean, it could spill over a little bit, but it shouldn't be something that the blade can grab. Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Then the last meeting, we were talking about that system back there for our palm radio.
Yep,
Is that what
new antenna.
we got a new antenna?
We don't have it yet, but it's been ordered.
Okay.
So we're not getting that feedback that the gentleman was talking
No,
about?
we don't know because it's not
Yeah,
installed yet, but it's supposed to help a lot.
When I felt it coming back from Missouri, I was right there, 15 miles, 10 miles.
So, yep, but the antenna's been ordered.
5 miles, you just hear a and it's really bad.
Yeah, so as soon as we get the antenna in, Scott Pica's he's the only one that's allowed to install anything on the AWAS because he's our AWAS rep, or whatever he is. Yeah, but it has been ordered. So yay, that is an update.
I'll check that off the list.
Check that, well, not
Nice job.
quite, but
Wow.
check it off soon, as soon as it's in.
Nice.
But yeah, we did go through and order that. The city had to jump through a bunch of extra hoops, in order to order from them. We had to set up an account with them from the city and all the stuff. So the antenna definitely has been ordered from that company.
Okay, the last thing I have is airport hangar inspection. Whatever happened to that?
Yeah, we should do some hangar inspections. It was you and me, T.Y., remember the last time?
Well, are we
did that?
supposed to do that every year? I mean, that's,
It's something I try to do. My goal is to do it annually. But I guess it's near impossible to inspect every single hangar that we have here. So I just go through and I inspect them as I'm fueling airplanes, things like that, to make sure that we have, only airplanes and hangars and they aren't full of other things and such.
but should we, as a commission, is that what we need to do every year? That's what I'm asking.
I think that is the requirement, isn't it?
I think it's just, it's advice.
Right, so the grant assurances basically say you're gonna use all the hangars for aviation.
Aeronautical use, yeah.
Aeronautical use. I think we should do it. And they have lightened up a little bit on that, but generally, most everybody says you need to have, and this is kind of a rub on kit builders a little bit, you need to have an airworthy aircraft in the hangar. And if you have ancillary stuff, say a motorcycle or something, as long as there's an airworthy aircraft and the ancillary stuff does not prevent it from being used as an active aircraft hangar, then you can. So on kit building, I think some airports have specific rules on that. They come in before they build the kit and they ask for a specific time frame.
We have that in ours.
Okay, so, and you basically get a waiver, but if it's not done by the time, then you gotta come in and explain why. And, right.
So I you know, Jeff just said we should do that, and I support that. I think we should do that annually and just kind of have a record that, you know, in the office that that's done, you know.
Well, and it gives us a chance also to inspect the hangars inside to make sure that people that are renting from us or what have you, it's structurally sound. We get a chance to look, see if something needs to be repaired, not just for liability at the airport too. So we can kind of, you know, kill two birds with one stone on there.
Well, in discussions with Jessica in the past, some people just won't let you in the hangar.
It's part of our contract agreement, right?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's part of like our hangar inspection policy,
Right.
but we don't own the buildings, they just lease the land from us. So yeah, it's part of our hangar inspection policy is we give them notice, we let them know we're gonna come out. I let them tell me when they're available, when they're gonna be out here, something like that. I try and do it like all within a summer. Obviously, the 2 years of COVID, we didn't do any inspection, because I mean, we weren't doing anything. But the year before that, you and I were the ones that went out and we did that. That was in 2019. That's the last time that we did it, so.
It's good that you get a peek
But
though
this
when you're
year,
fueling up.
yeah, so there's
you know.
certain tenants that don't want us in their hangars, and they don't want us there. We don't have keys to their hangars, so unless they come out and let us in,
Right.
it's not like we can just like barge in and
Right,
check
snoop
them
around,
out.
right?
So I mean, most of them are pretty open to that and let me know like right away. Anytime they're here, I mean, I can just go up and.
Well, that's good, that satisfies me,
Yeah.
if something like
So
that.
I think the hangars that we mostly don't really have any idea what's going on, or it is just the T hangars, because they're all individual hangars. They're not rented by us, they're, you know, rented out by the owners of the buildings. And so people come and go in there, like they might have a 2-month lease, they might have a 1-month lease, they might, I mean, you don't know. I mean, it's just, unless the hangar owner actually tells them to come in here, oh, you get cheaper fuel for being based here, things like that, you know. Unless they actually come to me and
So they're
do that.
subletting.
Correct, they're allowed to sublet. And so, but the rule is, in their actual hangar lease, both of the hangar leases, they're allowed to sublet as long as it's like for an aircraft. It needs to be somebody that has an aircraft, number one. But number two, if they have hangar space available that isn't being sublet for an aircraft, they are allowed to also use that for other things, but they need to get permission from the manager and
It's fine, I mean,
and
if I
from the
had
board.
a couple airplanes in there and I wanted to keep a motorcycle too, or something like, that's cool.
Yeah, but I'm saying like for the T hangars, so if they have a T hangar that's available, they don't have any interest of anybody that actually has an airplane that's coming in saying, I want that for an aircraft, they are allowed to sublet it for other reasons, but they need permission first.
Yeah, that's fine.
And so, but sometimes they do that without permission, right? Right.
Thank you for doing that, Jessica.
It's good. That's why I had TY do it with me the first time, because sometimes, I mean, you really need somebody with you for some of these people out here.
We want to make sure you come back out of the hangar.
Yeah. And TY will agree. I mean, it's really important that there's 2 people.
I
that
just
actually-
stand like that.
It's like,
He's my bodyguard.
it's like Jumanji in the hangar or something.
He's my bodyguard. He makes sure that it goes well.
And Jessica turns around and TY's like already
Yeah,
2 blocks down the road.
Luckily, we haven't had to deal with that kind of situation yet.
Well,
But I'm
so
sure
we should
TY will.
approve,
Have an eye witness.
we should approve these hangar leases subject to being inspected.
Yeah, right. These people, I can't inspect their hangars, so I'm not worried about either of them.
You say you can't?
Oh, I can, these guys.
All right. Hangar leases.
Ron Bober, A513, hangar lease agreement renewal. His lease has come up for renewal. It is ready for the board's approval. The lease has been moved from our old language to our new lease form language that was adopted by the board in 2020, I believe. So it's ready to go. Ron's already signed it. I already circulated it, so if you guys are okay with, he's got an airplane front and center.
Yeah, I make a motion that
Follows
we
his lease.
approve Ron Bober's A513 hangar lease agreement renewal.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Next is John Brown, hangar A511, same thing. His lease has been moved over to our new language, and it is ready for approval by the board. He has quite a few airplanes. None of them are necessarily based here, but his aircraft is used for some transient stuff work. John Landerlin, who does the maintenance here, he uses it all the time for like overnight hangars, things like that. All of them call John Landerlin. He puts them in John Brown's hangar. John Brown's even put like a heater in there and everything to make sure it is available for like overnights and stuff, so it is used for aircraft use.
But does he offer that to the airport as well?
Yeah, so when people call me and ask if we have any overnight space, I give them John's number, and then John, is the one that puts them in there. So he has the relationship with John Brown to make sure that he can kind of use this hangar for that. But he has a CJ, he's got a jet. He can't fly it, he's not comfortable flying it in here because our runway's so short, so he can't have that based here. And he also has, I think he has a Cirrus that he flies in here all the time to go to his property and stuff. So he has an aircraft. They're just not based here because he lives here, and he also lives like in Florida and other places, so.
Okay. Great. So we got a motion from John Brown's A511.
I make a motion to approve John Brown 8511 hangar lease agreement renewal.
A second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries, thank you. Okay. Gene Smith, 40-acre farm lease.
There are some issues.
There are some
Lease.
issues, but I think where this was going, that we have to have this signed for this year.
Correct.
And anything that, going forward, we can look to modify, but
Yep, next year we'll have different lease, we can, whatever you guys wanna do. But this year, it's this lease. The thing that was brought up is, the lessor in the back, to be signed in the lessee. The gentleman that farms it signed on the wrong line. He signed under lessor, and then we're under the lessee, which
can we just line out or
Yeah, we need a,
modify that?
Yeah.
Right on the page?
yep,
Say less.
Yep.
Less.
before signing, so I can do that, and
And then I just wanted to bring up, I wanted to make sure that the attorney fees here was crossed out, and just to be on par with Michigan City's other policies and that for people that rent or use. I think that the person that's renting, the leasee, should be, in charge of reasonable legal costs and attorney fees incurred if we have to enforce any covenant, term or condition of this lease against the leasee. So I just want to make sure that we're on par with the rest of Michigan City.
Did he have it not lined up?
Cross it out. Because if we have to enforce, which I'm sure we don't have to, but there's always that possibility. I don't think we should be on the hook for having to come after somebody. Because Michigan City, with their other rental agreements down at the marina, you sign that if you have a slip or anything like that, and they have to enforce their rules and regulations.
But on the other hand, can we approve this with this as it is?
I think we can prove it as contingent of changing.
yeah, contingent of him agreeing that
Agreeing, yeah.
that is not an option to cross out.
Okay?
Oh, wait. Wait with something else. Wait till everything is clarified and then make,
You wanna wait for next month for that?
That's fine.
that's a summer thing, right? Is that the guy who does the,
Yeah.
It's the farming across.
okay,
Not the hay.
okay, no, the hay. Is that something that needs to be responded to right now, or can it wait? That's.
I don't know, it depends on if we're gonna have a meeting next month, and then it won't be till November that it's approved. So if we can approve it, contingent on the guy.
I'd say it's contingent.
Yeah,
Okay,
contingent
make a
on the
phone
guy.
call. All right.
Yeah, and so if he says,
yeah, we'll do
okay,
that.
yeah, and then it's already
And
approved.
then if he says no, then.
Then I'll
we can
bring it back
process
to you
next
guys,
meeting.
yeah.
I agree. So,
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve Gene Smith's 40 acres cash farm lease under the contingents of us reversing and changing the leasee and leaser on the back page, and then also amending the attorney fees. It's been line item striked out, and we want to reinstall it as part of the lease agreement.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Okay, claims docket. Everybody, I reviewed it, I don't know if anybody else did, but,
Yeah, I did.
Looks good.
Can I get a motion to approve the claims docket?
I make a motion that we approve the claims docket as is.
Okay, we got one for August 52, 791.24, and September 66, 592.90. Do I have a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Claims docket's good. Correspondence,
None?
public comment?
Great work. Airport looks great. Appreciate everything you guys are doing. Kids participation and community involvement, it's great.
Thank you.
Except for food.
I know. You said that you were gonna open up a hot dog cart, I thought.
My space has been taken up.
You were gonna do a restaurant.
No.
I thought this meeting was gonna be catered.
We need a restaurant.
Okay, a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, I do. Make the motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you very much,
Thank you,
everybody.
guys. Thanks, Paul, for coming up.
Yeah.